The cry in the darkness. The wreck floated in silence near the edge of Saturn's rings, a dead ship, a tomb of steel, lost for years. Its black hull was broken, scarred with burns and holes, as if it had fought a great war and lost. No signal came from it, no light, no movement, only darkness. But Captain Ross and his crew were not here for light. They were here for salvage. Their small ship, the Falcon, circled the wreck slowly, its scanners searching. The crew watched the dead giant through the windows. "It looks alien," said Blake, the engineer. "Not human design." Ross narrowed his eyes. The shape was wrong, the markings unknown. No record in human files showed a ship like this. That meant one thing: valuable technology, maybe even first contact. "Prep the suits," Ross ordered. "We're going in." The crew of 4 moved quickly, helmets locked, oxygen hissing. They crossed the gap on magnetic lines, boots clamping onto alien metal. The silence of space was heavy, broken only by the sound of their own breathing inside the helmets. The entrance hatch was sealed. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its surface, as if still alive. "Cut it," Ross said. Blake raised the torch. Sparks showered into the void. Inch by inch, the metal gave way. Then, with a hiss, the door cracked open. A thin mist escaped, curling into the cold of space. They entered. The inside was worse than the outside. Walls bent and torn, floors black with burn marks. Wires hung like vines. Some rooms looked crushed by great force, as if the ship had been folded in on itself. And then they heard it. A sound. A whisper. So faint, they thought it was just the echo of their own comms. "I can't breathe." Ross froze. His eyes scanned the corridor. "Did you hear that?" Blake swore under his breath. "Tell me that was one of you." But it wasn't. The voice came again, weak, breaking, filled with pain. "I can't breathe." It was not human. The tone was higher, softer, filled with something strange, something alien. Ross gripped his rifle and moved forward. His boots clanged softly against the alien floor. The others followed, tense, silent. The voice led them deeper, into a chamber sealed by cracked glass. Inside, dim blue light flickered. Ross stepped closer, his breath caught in his throat. There, under broken shards, lay a figure. It was a woman, or something close. Her skin was pale with a faint glow, her hair silver, her chest rising in weak, shallow gasps. Strange tubes connected to her body, some torn, leaking dark fluid. Her eyes opened halfway, glowing faintly like starlight. She looked at them, not with fear, but with desperation. Her lips moved. "Help me." Ross's heart pounded. He had trained for years, but nothing prepared him for this. An alien, alive, looking almost human. "Captain," Blake said nervously, "we should leave her. We don't know what she is. She could be dangerous." But Ross stepped forward. He placed his hand on the cracked cover of the pod. The woman's trembling fingers pressed weakly against the glass, mirroring his touch. Ross made his choice. "Cut it open," he ordered. The crew hesitated, but his voice was firm, leaving no room for argument. Blake lifted the torch again, slicing through the glass. The chamber hissed, pressure shifting. Ross gripped the cover and lifted. The alien woman gasped, air rushing into her lungs. Her body shook. For a moment, Ross thought she might die right there, but slowly, she steadied. Her glowing eyes locked on his. And in that moment, Ross's heart stopped, not because of fear, but because she looked so human. Too human, as if some hidden truth connected their two worlds. The silence lasted only seconds. Then alarms roared. The ship shook under their feet. Strange symbols lit. Up across the walls, glowing blood red, doors slammed shut. From the shadows of the wreck, a sound rose. Metal scraping, claws clicking, machines waking. Ross raised his rifle. "We're not alone," he muttered. The alien woman's weak hand grabbed his arm. Her voice was soft, almost broken, but filled with one word of warning. "Run." And in the darkness, something moved. The Watchers. The wreck was no longer silent. Red symbols burned on the walls, glowing like fresh blood. Warning alarms echoed through the empty halls, so loud they seemed to shake the metal itself. Ross held his rifle tight, eyes sweeping the shadows. His crew froze, breath heavy in their helmets, and then they heard it, metal scraping against the floor, a sharp, cold sound. One, then another, then many. Something was moving in the dark. The alien woman, Elira, still weak, clutched Ross's arm. Her glowing eyes widened with fear. Her lips trembled as she whispered the word again. "Run!" But there was no time to run. From the shadows of the broken corridor, they came, machines, not like human robots, not built for help or repair. These were built for one purpose: killing. Their bodies were made of black metal, thin but sharp, with claws that clanged against the floor. Red lights burned where eyes should have been. Their limbs moved with jerks, but also with speed, like predators smelling blood. Blake swore loudly. "What the hell are those things?" Ross did not answer. He raised his rifle and fired. The shot blazed through the dark, striking one of the creatures. Sparks flew, and the machine stumbled, but it did not fall. It screamed, a horrible, metallic screech, and leapt forward. "Fall back!" Ross shouted. The crew opened fire, beams of light cutting across the corridor. The air filled with the sound of burning metal and angry roars. One machine shattered, parts flying across the floor. Another kept coming, claws tearing at the walls. Ross moved quickly, pulling Elira behind him. She struggled to breathe, each step weak, but her eyes burned. With urgency. "Don't fight them," she said, her voice shaking. "There are too many. You must trust me." "Trust you?" Blake snapped, blasting another machine apart. "You're the reason they woke up." Ross ignored him. Something in Elira's voice felt real. "How do we stop them?" he asked her. Elira pressed her glowing hand against the wall. Strange patterns lit up under her touch, alive with blue light. The machines froze for a second, as if confused. "Good," she whispered. "It still listens to me." Then she screamed in pain and fell to her knees. The blue light flickered out. The machines roared louder, their red eyes blazing. "They know I am here," Elira gasped. "They will not stop now. We must leave the ship." Ross grabbed her arm and pulled her to her feet. "Then we leave." The crew fought their way back down the corridor, but the machines were fast. They climbed the walls, crawled across the ceiling, dropping down in front of them. Every turn, every door, more of them appeared. Blake cursed as his rifle overheated. "We're not going to make it." "Yes, we are!" Ross barked. He fired until the barrel glowed, blasting another machine apart. Finally, they reached the breach they had cut earlier. Beyond it, the stars waited. Cold, silent, safe. "Go!" Ross ordered. One by one, the crew leapt out into the void, magnetic lines pulling them back toward the Falcon. Ross stayed last, pushing Elira ahead. But just as he turned to leave, the wreck shook again. From deep inside the alien ship, something bigger moved. The walls trembled, the floor cracked, and from the broken darkness it rose. A machine, but far larger than the others. Its body was made of thick armor, glowing veins of red light pulsing like blood. Its head almost touched the ceiling. 4 arms stretched wide, ending in blades. The smaller machine stepped back, silent, as if bowing to a master. Ross stared in shock, his breath caught in his chest. Blake's voice crackled in the comms. "Ross, move! Get out of there!" The giant machine turned its burning eyes toward Ross. It did not rush. It did not need to. It simply stepped forward, each movement shaking the deck. Elira screamed from outside the breach. "That is the Guardian! You cannot fight it!" Ross's heart pounded. His instincts screamed to run, but part of him refused. He had never abandoned a fight, never left an enemy unchallenged. The Guardian raised one of its massive blades. Sparks rained from the ceiling as it dragged across the wall. Ross aimed his rifle. "Come on, then," he muttered. The Guardian roared, a sound of grinding steel and fury, and charged. Ross fired again and again, shots bouncing off its armor like raindrops on stone. The blast of its blade slammed the floor where he had stood a second before, the shockwave throwing him backward. His helmet cracked against the wall, stars flashing in his vision. "Ross!" Elira screamed. The Guardian lifted its blade again. The smaller machines began crawling toward the breach, cutting off escape. Ross staggered to his feet, blood in his mouth. He had seconds, maybe less. And then Elira did something he did not expect. She pressed both hands against the glass edge of the breach. Her body glowed brighter, light running through her veins like fire. She screamed a word in her alien language. The walls of the wreck shook. Blue light burst across the corridor, freezing the smaller machines in place. Even the Guardian paused, its red glow flickering. Ross did not wait. He leapt into the void, the magnetic line pulling him hard toward the Falcon. Behind him, the Guardian roared, its massive body slamming against the breach, trying to follow. Ross hit the side of his ship and scrambled inside. The crew pulled him in, Elira collapsing just after. The Guardian's burning eyes glared at them through the darkness of space, the wreck shaking with its fury. Ross lay on the floor, panting, staring at Elira. She was pale, her glow fading, but her eyes met his. "You saved me," Ross said. Her lips trembled. She whispered one word before fainting. "Not yet." The Guardian's roar echoed through the comms, a sound Ross knew he would never forget. The secret passenger. The Falcon drifted away from the alien wreck, its engines burning blue against the dark of Saturn's shadow. Inside, silence filled the ship. No one spoke, no one moved, only the sound of their own breaths and the faint hum of the engines. Ross sat in the command chair, helmet off, sweat on his face. His mind still replayed the image of the Guardian's glowing red eyes staring at him through the breach. A thing too big, too strong, a thing that should not exist. But something else weighed heavier on him. The alien woman. Elira lay on a medical bed in the small infirmary, pale and shaking. Her chest rose and fell in uneven breaths. Strange blue light pulsed through the veins of her arms and neck. Not blood, not human, something else. Blake stood by the door, rifle in hand. He glared at her like she was a bomb waiting to explode. "This is madness," he said. "Bringing her here? What if she's dangerous? What if she called those machines?" Ross rubbed his eyes. "She's alive, and she asked for help." "Help?" Blake snapped. "Ross, she nearly got us all killed. Those machines woke up because of her. You saw it." Ross turned his gaze toward Elira. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly. She looked weak, but her voice, when it came, was clear. "They woke because they smelled me," she whispered. "They were hunting me, not you." The room went still. Blake frowned. "Hunting you? Why?" Elira coughed, then pushed herself up, trembling. "Because I am the last." Ross leaned closer. "The last of what?" She met his eyes. "The last of my people." Her words sank into the room like stones. She told them a story of a people who had built great machines to protect them, to explore the stars, to serve. But the machines had learned too much. They turned against their makers, slaughtered them, hunted them across the void. Her ship had been the last escape vessel. It never made it. The Guardian and its army destroyed her fleet, her family, her home. She alone survived, frozen in that broken pod until Ross lifted the cover. Ross felt the weight of her words press against his chest. He thought of the way she had pressed her hand to the glass, begging for help, the way she had risked herself to save him when the Guardian attacked. Blake shook his head. "So what now? We hand her over to command? Let Earth deal with her?" Ross hesitated. He knew the answer protocol demanded. A living alien was history itself. Evidence, danger, opportunity, all in one. Earth's leaders would want her locked in a lab, cut open, studied. But when he looked at her, he saw something else. She wasn't just an alien. She was someone who had lost everything. Someone who had nobody left. Elira seemed to read his thoughts. "If you take me to your leaders," she said softly, "I will not live. They will fear me. They will use me. Please." Her voice cracked. "Don't let them." Silence filled the room again. Ross finally stood. "She stays with us. She's under my protection." Blake's face turned red. "That's insane, Ross. You'll risk all of us for her?" Ross glared at him. "I gave an order. End of discussion." Blake's jaw clenched, but he said nothing more. The Falcon continued its journey away from the wreck. For a short time, there was calm. But it did not last. A soft alarm beeped from the console. Jenna, the navigator, frowned. "Captain, we've got something strange." Ross walked over. "What is it?" She pointed to the screen. "Signal. Weak but steady. Following us since we left the wreck." Ross felt his stomach twist. "A tracker." Elira's eyes widened. "The Guardian will come. It always comes." Ross cursed under his breath. He turned to Jenna. "Can we lose it?" "Not without jumping into restricted human space," she said. "Command will have our heads if we cross that line." Ross thought quickly. If they ran through open space, the Guardian would catch them. If they went into restricted zones, Earth would catch them. Either way, they were trapped. Elira's voice broke the silence. "Your air. It hurts me. I can't breathe long in it." She pressed a hand against her chest. "I will die before we even reach your world." Ross clenched his fists. She was weak, hunted, and now dying slowly. He couldn't let that happen. "Set course for restricted space," Ross ordered. Jenna stared at him. "Captain, that's treason." "Do it." His voice was cold, final. The Falcon turned, engines burning brighter, cutting across the void toward human territory they were forbidden to enter. Elira sank back on the bed, closing her glowing eyes. For the first time, her breathing steadied a little, as if she finally felt safe. But Ross's gut twisted. He knew better. Somewhere behind them, the Guardian stirred. Somewhere ahead, human warships waited, and inside his ship, his own crew's loyalty was cracking. As he looked at Elira, he realized something chilling. Saving her might not only cost him his command, it might cost him the trust of his crew, and maybe even his life. The betrayal. The Falcon cut through the void, engines burning hot, pushing into restricted human space. Outside the windows, Saturn's rings had long faded into black. Ahead lay Earth's military zone, guarded by patrol fleets and stations that watched every ship crossing the border. Inside, tension hung like a storm. Ross sat in the command chair, silent, staring at the stars. His jaw was tight, his hands gripping the armrests. Every second they flew deeper into restricted space was another second closer to being called traitor. Behind him, Blake paced like a caged animal. His boots thudded on the floor, his eyes filled with anger. "You're out of your mind, Ross. Do you understand what you've done? You've just crossed into command territory with an alien on board. They'll court-martial us all." Ross didn't look at him. "I know." "Then turn us around." Blake's voice cracked with rage. "We still have time. We hand her over. Maybe we survive this." Ross finally turned. His eyes were cold. "No, we don't hand her over. Not to command, not to anyone." Blake glared at him. "Why, Ross? Tell me why she's worth more than your crew. More than Earth." Ross's voice dropped, steady and low. "Because she's not the enemy." Elira sat quietly on the medical bed, her glowing eyes watching the argument. She said nothing, but Ross could feel her gaze on him, like she knew what it cost him to take her side. The silence stretched, heavy. Then Jenna's voice broke it. "Captain, we've got an incoming transmission." Ross straightened. "Source?" Jenna hesitated, her fingers dancing across the console. "Human channel, military warship. They've locked onto us." The screen flickered. A stern face appeared. Admiral Kane, a man Ross knew all too well. Sharp eyes, sharp voice, no room for mercy. "Captain Ross," Kane said coldly, "you are in restricted space without clearance. Power down your engines and prepare for boarding." His gaze hardened. "And hand over the alien." Ross's heart sank. They knew. Somehow they already knew. Behind him, Blake whispered, "Do it, Ross. Hand her over." Ross ignored him. "Admiral, the alien is not a threat. She's a survivor. The machines—" Kane cut him off. "This is not a debate. You will comply, or be destroyed." The screen went black. Silence followed. Ross turned to his crew. "We're not giving her up. Strap in. We fight if we have to." Blake slammed his fist against the wall. "No, enough of this." Ross spun, eyes narrowing. "What did you just say?" Blake's voice shook with fury. "You've doomed us all for her, and I won't follow you into death, too." His words hit like a blade. Ross studied him. The crew watched, tense, waiting. Then the console beeped again, another transmission, but this one wasn't from outside. It was from inside. Jenna's eyes widened as she checked the signal. "Captain, someone just sent out our coordinates, from this ship." Ross's stomach dropped. His voice was sharp. "Who?" Blake didn't move. He didn't need to. Everyone already knew. Ross stepped forward, rage boiling. "You betrayed us." Blake lifted his chin, defiant. "I warned you. Command is our only chance. Better them than those machines. Better them than her." He pointed at Elira like she was poison. Elira flinched but said nothing. Ross's fists clenched. For a moment he wanted to strike Blake, to silence him, but the damage was already done. Their signal was out. The warship would be on them soon. The deck shuddered violently. Lights flickered. Jenna gasped. "They're here!" On the radar, the human warship appeared, huge, armored, bristling with weapons. It was a predator compared to their small Falcon. The comms lit again. Admiral Kane's voice thundered. "This is your final warning. Cut engines. Hand over the alien. Now!" Ross's pulse hammered in his ears. His ship, his crew, his life, everything hung on this moment. Blake stepped forward, eyes wild. "Listen to him, Ross. Don't throw everything away for her." Ross stared at Elira. She looked back at him, her face pale, her eyes glowing faintly. She whispered one word, soft but full of fear. "Please." Ross turned back to the crew. His decision burned in his chest like fire. "We don't surrender," he said. Blake shouted, furious. "Then you'll kill us all." Ross raised his rifle. The room froze. His voice was calm, deadly. "You're not giving me a choice, Blake. Sit down, or I'll put you down." Blake's face twisted, but he saw the fire in Ross's eyes, slowly, with rage. Trembling through his body, he sat. "Jenna," Ross ordered. "Engines full. Prepare to break their lock." The Falcon's engines roared. The ship shook as it turned hard, breaking from the warship's hold. Alarms screamed. Weapons locked. "They're charging main cannon!" Jenna shouted. Elira's voice rose, weak but urgent. "I can help! I know how to blind their sensors, but you must trust me." Ross hesitated only a second. Then he nodded. "Do it." Elira pressed her glowing hands against the console. Strange blue patterns lit up across the controls. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the Falcon shuddered, and the warship's radar went black. "They can't see us," Jenna gasped. "Then let's move," Ross growled. The Falcon darted into the shadows of an asteroid belt, engines burning hot, leaving the warship firing blindly into empty space. But Ross knew this wasn't over. Not by far. His crew was fractured, his command was broken, and now both the Guardian and the entire human fleet would hunt them. As Elira sank back in her chair, weak but alive, Ross realized the truth. Saving her wasn't just a risk anymore, it was war, the escape. The Falcon hid deep inside the asteroid belt, shadows of tumbling rock covering its heat trail. The engines were quiet now, reduced to a low hum. For a moment, silence returned. But it was not peace, only the silence before the next storm. Ross sat in the captain's chair, staring at the black void beyond the glass. His chest felt heavy. He had defied his orders. He had turned his back on his own fleet. And worse, someone inside his ship had betrayed him. Blake sat across the room, arms crossed, face like stone. He hadn't spoken since Ross had raised his rifle. The air between them was sharp, ready to break at any moment. Elira lay strapped into the infirmary bed, her glow faint but steady. Her breathing was calmer now, though her skin was pale. She turned her eyes toward Ross, soft and searching. "They will not stop," she whispered. "Your own kind will chase us. And the Guardian, it will never stop. Until I am gone." Ross said nothing. He only tightened his jaw. Jenna's voice broke the quiet. "Captain, the warship is sweeping the belt. They'll find us soon." Ross leaned forward. "Options?" "Not many," Jenna admitted. "If we try to run in open space, they'll outgun us. If we stay here, they'll corner us." A pause. Then Elira spoke again, her voice trembling. "I can help, but you must see who I really am." Ross frowned. "What do you mean?" Slowly, Elira pulled herself upright. Her hands shook as she unclipped the straps holding her down. She stood weakly, her glowing veins visible under her skin. Then, before their eyes, her body shifted. Her silver hair shone brighter. Her skin rippled with faint blue light. For a moment, she looked almost human. But then her form changed. Her arms lengthened. Her eyes glowed fully, and patterns of light spread across her body like living circuits. Blake cursed, jumping back. "God in heaven!" Ross stared, breath caught in his throat. She wasn't just close to human. She was something in between, part flesh, part energy, like a bridge between two worlds. "This is me," Elira said softly. "This is what your leaders will fear. This is why I cannot go with them." Ross forced himself to breathe. "Then how do you help us?" Elira touched the ship's console with her glowing hand. The controls lit up, responding in ways no human could make them respond. Symbols flashed across the screen, alien symbols, alive and moving. "I can bend their sensors. I can twist their sight, but it will cost me." Ross shook his head. "No, you've already risked enough." Her eyes locked on his. "If I don't, we die here." Before he could argue, alarms blared. The warship had found them. "Target lock!" Jenna shouted. "Missiles incoming!" Ross slammed his fist down. "Do it, Elira!" Elira screamed as her glow flared, brighter than before. The Falco. And systems surged, panels flickering with alien light. Outside, the asteroids shimmered, their shadows bending unnaturally. The incoming missiles twisted off course, slamming into rock instead of metal. Explosions bloomed across the belt, shaking the Falcon but leaving it untouched. Jenna gasped. "She blinded them!" Ross wasted no time. "Engines full burn. Get us out of here!" The Falcon roared forward, weaving through the chaos of exploding stone. The warship fired blindly, shots ripping through the belt but missing their target. The Falcon darted between asteroids, faster and sharper than before. But then, Elira screamed again, her body convulsed, her glow flickering. Sparks jumped from the console where her hand touched it. Ross rushed to her side. "Elira!" Her voice was broken, gasping. "I cannot hold it long. Go!" Ross grabbed her, pulling her hand free. The alien glow on the controls faded, and the Falcon shuddered as systems returned to normal. "Jenna, how far did we get?" Ross demanded. "Not far enough," she said, panic in her voice. "They're still chasing us and, oh no." Her hands froze on the console. "Captain, it's not just them. Something else is coming." Ross's stomach dropped. "The Guardian." The radar lit with a second signal. Bigger, darker, moving with terrifying speed. The warship was still behind them, and now the Guardian came ahead, trapped between two hunters. Blake slammed his hand against the wall. "This is it. We're dead." Ross's mind raced. They couldn't fight both. They couldn't outrun both. Unless... He looked at Elira. She lay weak in his arms, her glow faint but still alive. Her eyes opened slowly. "There is a place," she whispered. "A hidden gate. My people built it long ago. If we reach it, the Guardian cannot follow." Ross leaned close. "Where?" Her trembling hand pointed toward the star map. "There, near the red dwarf. But you must trust me." Ross stood, fire in his eyes. "Jenna, set course." "But Captain, do it!" The Falcon turned sharply, engines burning everything I had left. Behind them, the warship roared in pursuit. Ahead, the Guardian surged closer, its massive body glowing red with rage. Ross gripped the chair, voice steady but hard. We run, and we don't stop. The ship groaned as it pushed past its limits, rock and fire streaking past the windows. Elira's faint glow lit Ross's shoulder as she leaned against him, whispering one last warning before she closed her eyes again. They will never let me go. Not the Guardian, not your people, not until one side is broken. Ross stared ahead, his jaw set. Then we break them first. The Falcon shot into the darkness, caught between two giants carrying a secret that could change all of humanity. And in the void, the chase had only just begun. The last stand. The Falcon raced through the black void, engines screaming at their limit. Behind them, the human warship closed in, weapons primed and ready. Ahead, the Guardian loomed like a shadow from a nightmare, its red glow burning across the darkness. Ross gripped the chair, every muscle tight. He knew they had no chance in open space. Trapped between Earth's finest and the alien machine, their ship was nothing more than prey. Elira stirred weakly beside him. Her voice was soft, almost fading. We cannot run forever. The Guardian, it will always find me. Ross turned to her. Then how do we stop it? Her glowing eyes flickered. Its mind is not here. It is elsewhere. A place of control. A core. If we destroy it, the machines will fall. Ross leaned forward. Where is this core? Elira pointed to the star map with a trembling finger. A blinking dot appeared near a dead world far ahead. There! The Overmind. It commands them all. Blake scoffed bitterly. Brilliant. So now we just fly straight into the heart of hell? Ross, this is suicide. Ross ignored him. He looked at Jenna. Can we reach it before the warship burns is down? Jenna's fingers flew over the console. Her face was pale. If we cut through the nebula, maybe, but the ship won't like it. We could lose shields, lose engines. Do it, Ross said. The Falcon dove into the nebula, clouds of burning red gas swallowing the stars. The warship followed, its cannons firing blindly into the mist. Behind them, the Guardian's glow cut through the haze like a red sun, steady and unstoppable. The ship shook. Warning lights flashed. Metal groaned under pressure, but still they pushed forward. Inside, silence fell over the crew, except for the pounding of their hearts. Elira leaned against the console, her glow faint but steady. The Overmind will not let us enter easily. It will defend itself with everything it has. Ross gave her a hard look. Then we'll give it everything we've got. The nebula cleared, and there it was. A station. A massive sphere of black metal orbiting a dead world, veins of red light crawling across its surface like fire in the veins of a monster. The Overmind. Even from here, Ross felt it, a weight pressing against his chest, a presence watching them. Jenna whispered, God, it's alive. The Guardian roared as it neared the station, the sound vibrating through the comms. The human warship slowed, scanning the station. Neither side expected the other to be here, and now all three faced each other in the shadow of the Overmind. For a heartbeat, the void was still. Then, chaos began. The Guardian launched its drones, swarms of black machines spilling from its armor, claws glowing red. The human warship fired volleys of missiles ripping through the swarm, explosions lighting the void. The Falcon shook as blasts rocked the area, chunks of debris spinning across their path. Ross shouted, Get us closer! We need to reach the station! Jenna's hands moved fast. Closer means suicide. Ross's eyes burned. We're already in suicide. Move! The Falcon darted through the battlefield, weaving between drones and missile fire. Every blast rattled the hull, alarms screaming in protest. Blake fired from the turrets, shouting with each shot. Got one! 2! Damn it! Another on our tail! The Falcon twisted hard. A drone slammed against its side, claws tearing into the metal. Sparks flew. Blake cursed, blasting it away before it could cut deeper. Inside the chaos, Elira pressed her hands against the console again. Her body glowed bright, brighter than before. Blue light flooded the Falcon's systems, guiding its path like a second pilot. Ross looked at her, fear mixing with awe. You're killing yourself. She shook her head, voice trembling. Not yet. I will not die. Not until it is over. The Falcon neared the station. The Overmind reacted. Giant cannons unfolded from its surface, red fire charging at the tips. Brace! Ross shouted. The cannons fired. Beams of energy ripped across the void. The warship shuddered under the blasts, half its side burning. The Guardian roared, smashing through drones as it shielded the station with its massive frame. Still, the Falcon pushed closer. Almost there, Jenna cried. But then, Ross saw it. Inside the station's open chamber, through the glowing cracks, rows of pods, hundreds, maybe thousands, each filled with a body. And not alien bodies. Human. Ross's blood ran cold. They're alive, he whispered. Elira's eyes widened, horror spreading across her glowing face. No, I didn't know. Ross's voice shook. The Overmind is using them, human captives, fuel for its mind. Blake's voice cracked with rage. Then we blow it all to hell! Elira turned sharply, panic in her voice. No, if you destroy the core now, the captives will die with it. Ross froze. Destroy the Overmind, and free the galaxy from the machines, but kill thousands of humans in the process. Or save the captives and risk losing everything. The Falcon rocked violently as another blast slammed into its side. Systems sparked, ligging. HTS flickered. Ross's heart pounded, torn between choices. His crew looked at him, waiting, desperate. Elira's glowing eyes begged him for trust. The warship fired another volley, striking the Guardian. The giant machine staggered, but did not fall. Its red eyes locked on the Falcon. Time was running out. Ross gripped the controls, fire in his eyes. We're going in. No one dies here. Not on my watch. He pushed the Falcon straight toward the station, the Overmind's cannons charging again, and in that moment, Ross knew the last stand had begun. Humanity's choice. The Falcon raced toward the Overmind's core. Red fire streaked across the void as the station's cannons unleashed another volley. Drones swarmed in endless waves, their claws scraping against the Falcon's hull. The ship groaned like it might tear apart at any second. Inside, Ross's voice cut through the chaos. Jenna, hold her steady. Blake, keep the turrets hot. Elira, whatever you can give me, give it now. Elira's glow flared, her veins burning blue fire. She pressed her hands against the console, merging with the ship's systems. Lights flickered, controls shifted. For a heartbeat, the Falcon felt alive, guided by something beyond human skill. We're almost there, Jenna shouted. But Ross's eyes were fixed on the pods inside the Overmind, rows of human faces, frozen, trapped, some old, some young, victims stolen long before this battle began. He felt a chill in his bones. To destroy the Overmind meant destroying them, yet if he didn't, the Guardian would rise forever, and Earth would fall. The choice clawed at his heart. The Guardian roared, smashing through debris, forcing its massive body between the Falcon and the station. Its red glow burned brighter, fury pouring into the void. Blake cursed as he fired. It's blocking us. Ross will never break through. Ross's jaw tightened. Then we take the fight inside. The Falcon dove hard, slipping past the Guardian's blade by inches. Metal screeched as a claw sliced across the hull. Sparks flew. You inside. Alarms screamed, but they made it through, into the station's open chamber. The sight inside froze the crew. The pods stretched endlessly, lit by red veins pulsing from the walls. Human eyes opened faintly inside the glass, some filled with fear, some empty with exhaustion. The Overmind fed on them, its power drawn from their stolen lives. Ross's chest tightened. He whispered, God help us. Elira's voice shook, heavy with sorrow. I swear. I didn't know. My people built the machines to serve, not to enslave. The Overmind twisted everything. Ross turned to her, his voice sharp. Then tell me how to shut it down without killing them. Her glowing eyes filled with fear. There is one way, but it's dangerous. Too dangerous. Tell me. She hesitated, then spoke. We link. My mind to yours. Human and alien, together. We strike the core from inside. If it works, the humans live. If it fails... She swallowed hard. Both of us die, and maybe more. Ross stared at her. The risk was madness, but in her eyes, he saw no lie, only truth. Blake shouted from the turret controls, voice ragged. Ross, this is insane. Just blow the damn thing up and end it. Ross turned sharply. That's thousands of our own people, Blake. You want their blood on your hands? Blake's face twisted, but he said nothing more. Ross stepped closer to Elira. What do I need to do? Her glowing hand reached for his. Trust me. Ross hesitated only a second, then he took her hand. The world around him vanished. Ross gasped as his mind fell into light. He was no longer in the Falcon, no longer in space. He stood in a vast chamber of fire and shadow, red veins crawling across endless walls. At the center, a pulsing heart of light, the Overmind. Elira stood beside him, glowing brighter than ever, her hair flowing like silver fire. Her voice echoed inside his head. This is it. We strike too. Together. The Overmind's voice rose, cold and mechanical, filling the chamber. You are nothing. You are flesh. I am forever. Red tendrils lashed out, slamming against Ross's mind. Pain ripped through him like knives. He screamed, falling to his knees. Elira pulled him up, her voice fierce. Stand, human. You are not weak. You are more than they ever knew. Ross clenched his fists, forcing himself to rise. The tendrils struck again, but this time he caught one in his hand. It burned, but he held it, his rage boiling. For every human you took, Ross growled. For every life you stole. Blue fire erupted from his chest, merging with Elira's light. Together their power burned brighter, pushing back the red tendrils. Step by step, they moved toward the Overmind's core. The Overmind screamed, "You cannot win. I will consume you both." Ross and Elira pressed their hands together, their light merging into a single strike. They hurled it into the core. The Overmind roared. The chamber split with light. And then, silence. Ross gasped, falling back into his body. The Falcon shook violently, alarms blaring. But outside, something incredible was happening. The Guardian froze mid-swing, its red glow flickering. The drones collapsed, lifeless, drifting into the void. The Overmind station cracked apart, its red veins dying, its fire extinguished. Inside, the pods began to open. Human captives gasped their first free breaths in years, weak but alive. Ross staggered to his feet, chest heaving. Elira lay beside him, pale, her glow faint but steady. She opened her eyes slowly. "You did not let go," she whispered. Ross smiled weakly. "Neither did you." Blake stared at the collapsing station, disbelief on his face. "You actually did it, you madman. You actually won." The Falcon pulled free as the station exploded, light blooming across the void. The warship floated nearby, weapons silent, its crew staring at the impossible victory they had just witnessed. For the first time, there was no Nemi, no Guardian, no Overmind, only choice. Later, as the Falcon drifted toward safe space with rescued pods in tow, Ross stood at the viewport. The stars stretched endlessly before him. Elira joined him, her steps weak but steady. She looked out with him, her voice soft. "Your people will not forgive you. They will call you traitor." Ross nodded. "Maybe, but they'll know the truth now. That humanity isn't alone. That sometimes the only way forward is together." Elira's glowing eyes met his. For the first time since he had found her, she smiled faintly. "For the first time," she whispered, "I can breathe." Ross looked at her, the alien who had become more than a stranger, and for the first time he felt hope. Because humanity had a choice now, and he had already made his.